Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Why is my
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. I'm gonna wait till Shazzi tells me it's time to go. I'm gonna say a few words, turn it over to you guys. You guys got the list of questions, so hopefully you're ready to go, make it fun. We made Art Forum with this show, which is a really beautiful thing. Really proud. Jason's picture was in there. And just waiting for everyone to come in. And it's nice to meet all of you.
Do that. No.
Do you-
Start.
in here?
Right here. Okay.
Oh,
Hi.
Wait a minute. Do you see me, guys? I just don't see myself.
I see you.
Yeah, Margaret, okay.
Jen, you're going to be speaking today?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to take a quick look. Shazzi, make sure you see that Jen's going to be speaking today too.
Yeah. We're prepared for her.
Yeah, I didn't have her. Okay.
What is that?
So I guess I made a slideshow, so I guess we'll just speak in order of my slideshow.
Sounds like a plan. We'll be surprised as they come up.
Hi there. I don't know. Can you see me right now? When my microphone is unmuted, I seem to be invisible. I don't know.
Is this?
This
I
is
see you
Dominica
now.
speaking.
Yeah, I could see you.
Okay, great. Hi. Do you want me to start?
Let me give some welcoming remarks.
Excellent.
And then
Thanks. I
you'll
just saw my
start.
work and was like, oh.
Okay. Shazzi, can I start? We ready? Okay, so first of all, I need to thank the curators, Shazzi and Lucy, for curating this diverse and inclusive show from the art file. For those of you who are on the Zoom and have not joined the art file, know that we curate a show from it once a year. So it really offers a lot. And this year we're going to be offering program through it as well. First of all, and then I'm happy to have these artists. I'm happy to have all of you here. Thank you for supporting the Painting Center. And Dominica is up on the screen. And what I clearly noticed about her work was the shaped abstraction with the rough edge. So am I saying your name correctly, Dominica?
Yes, you are. Thank you.
You want to just tell us about yourself?
Sure. I'm an artist from Ithaca, New York. I work in painted collage and encaustic, using abstraction to portray a visualization of an inner landscape. That's how I think of it.
And what's your inspiration behind that and your process?
I'm really influenced by color field and minimalist painters of the past, like Mark Rothko, Ellsworth Kelly, the late collage work of Henri Matisse, and the pioneering abstraction of Hilma af Klint. So those are artists that have always influenced me. My goal is to say the most with the least in my shapes, and so limited palette, limited forms, but to try to get a lot on there with a sort of restrained effort.
You're clearly doing that. They're really beautiful and they need to be seen in person. I love the roughness quality to it. Do you want to talk about how you make them? give us a little insight
Sure.
into that?
Sorry, it's so noisy here. I thought this might be a quiet spot, but yeah, it's painted cut paper collage. So I take a watercolor paper usually, or sometimes canvas, and paint it with acrylic or sometimes other materials, but mostly acrylic, and then paint both sides of it and allow the paint to be very natural and loose, sometimes thick, sometimes thin. But then later I get controlling with it, making sharp edges and sort of going for the structured minimalist approach to kind of rein in the wildness of the rough painting.
There, you can see that you clearly are achieving your goal. What do you want the audience to know about you? A fun fact.
Fun fact is that I grew up living in different countries in Africa, and my work is influenced by the social and spiritual aspects of traditional African art, and also design that you might see in textiles and pattern making. So that stuff comes, that the aesthetic comes through a lot for me, and you might not know that about me.
I actually find that quite interesting. I could see it with the muted color. Your color is muted, but
Mhm.
loved. And how
Thank
did you get to see them in person hanging on the wall?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I was so happy to be in such a beautifully curated show in this great space. A huge thanks to the curators, Shazzi and Lucy, for putting it all together, because it's really hard to make so many artists look so harmonious. And it looked fantastic. So it felt really great to see it there. And I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other words you want to share with us?
No, just can't wait to hear what everyone else has to say.
Thank you for such a thoughtful and concise thought.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have Riney. Am I saying it correctly?
It's Rini.
Rini.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. I saw these in person, and I've known Rini's work for quite a while. We met randomly on the street, and it was
Okay.
such a wonderful experience. And I believe I encouraged you to join the art file, and I'm
Yes.
really happy that you did, because they're beautiful. They're
Thank you.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the little ones are a feast for the eye. So you want to tell us about yourself?
Sure, sure. I was born in Seoul, Korea, and raised in Los Angeles. I studied at the Parsons School of Design here in New York. Worked in creative services, but always painted until committing more fully to painting many moons ago. And yeah, that's basically it.
And what's your inspiration?
So the little pieces in particular were created in the time of the pandemic. I was spending a lot of time in nature and noticing, very fascinated with the dualities and contrasts in nature. So a lot of movement and stillness I was noticing, chaos and order. Walking through the forest, you would see massive leaves and seemingly no ending or beginning, but maybe from an aerial view, like in an airplane, you could see that there's quite a bit of graphicness and order. So those pieces come from a series called Seed Meeting. And that depicts a bridge between two states, a state of dormancy to a state of aliveness. And so it's basically seed meeting life.
Beautiful. They are really, these photographs do not do them justice, honestly. There is a delicacy into the way the paint's handled and a freshness that is not coming across in the screen. And I had mentioned to her about Ed Clark because they have that beautiful and freshness. But the big ones, which I'm familiar with, are special too. You want to talk about the big ones?
Yes, yes. So that's a more personal journey into my shared life experiences with my son who has autism. Again, there are contrasts, focusing on the confusion of navigating the world with him and but also the curiosity and wonder he has about the world. So that particular piece is about his getting ready for the day, how the small challenges of those moments can also be a playful experience.
That's powerful, really incredibly powerful. And I love that you've captured those struggles in such a beautiful way, honestly. Do you want to tell us, we know your inspiration. Do you want to tell us about your process?
Yeah, sure. I spent some time sketching quite a bit, seeing where things might want to go. And then I start swatching with colors and mixing on the palette, then start with that combined intention, laying color on the canvas, and use a lot of medium to convey those stroke and movement in the brush strokes.
Yeah. And what do you want the audience, a fun fact to know about you?
Fun fact, I am really into the ocean and surfing. And so I share that with my son, which is a great fun thing to do. So yeah, I don't think many people know that about me.
That's terrific. Thank you for really opening up about your life and your work. And how did it feel from that random meeting on the street to having your work at the painting center?
I've been visiting the painting center for years, so it's been great and surreal to see the work hanging on the walls. It was wonderful to see it with so many artists who are so rooted and unique in their voices, and seeing such different array of work. So at the opening, it was a treat to get to know them and their processes. And I'm also very thankful for such a beautiful show curated by Shazzi. So thank you.
Thank you. And anything else you want to add?
No, that's really about it.
Okay, I'm going to save all questions till all the artists go, in case this
Sure.
way Jason, oh, these are fun. The reel really highlighted these. And I want you to know that Jason's image was on the cover of Art Forum advertising the show. And that was the biggest treat for Shazzi and I, and all of you as well. So Jason, you want to share with something about yourself?
Sure. Hey, Lisa. It's
Hi.
great to be here. So yeah, I'm an artist based in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I teach at the University of Tulsa, and I've lived in different parts of the Southeast most of my adult life, but grew up in the Northeast here. So just kind of lived in different parts of the country, and having moved a few different regions, different places, the different landscapes that I encounter in these different areas kind of have a huge impact on the work, in addition to just trying to pay attention to things that might not necessarily be always inspiring. Like if you find yourself at some part-time job, maybe that can open up to a new body of work, which kind of was the case with this work. So yeah, to try and keep that idea of just always being open to potential inspiration.
That's interesting. Oklahoma, from New York to Oklahoma. Like, how is that transition? Because the work has a New York constructed feel, but the color isn't dirty, it's pure.
That's exciting to hear. I definitely love the New York art scene, painting scene, and really try and keep up with it. I've only been in Tulsa about a year, but I was born in Danbury, like an hour outside of New York, and grew up in the Boston area. So, definitely love this area very much and excited to be back for the closing. But yeah, at the same time, a lot of this work comes out of a sort of activist mentality of like being in the Southeast and just being in places where you can't always rely on everybody sharing your ideas about, your political stance and that kind of thing. And sort of the tension that exists in that,
That's interesting because yeah, even in New York, you can't talk about your political stance.
Right.
It's just the way of the world these days. But let's keep on art. Tell me about your inspiration.
So yeah, this work kind of this came out of my work in grad school, which kind of grew out of the experience of working at a middle school in an after school program part-time, and just kind of being around middle schoolers making art and the sort of casual quality of their drawings, and making art with things out of the recycling bin. We didn't really have much of a budget. And so just sort of that make-do quality paired with my kind of interest in climate change and sustainable energy transition. So just kind of thinking of the school as a kind of a theatrical stage to tell a narrative about climate and sustainability.
It's interesting because it's a dark topic, but there's an element of beauty to them as well, and like a nature that it's fragile. So that's what I see. It has a little fragility to it, as life itself, and the climate change is making the world more fragile as well. And what's your process like?
Kind of ranges a good bit. I love all different kinds of painting, but I guess this was trying to merge found objects, acrylic painting, oil, a little egg tempera in there. So just just trying to find things that are could be reused. In this case, these were found panels painting on, and just try and look for possibilities of using different objects and combining painting together, and being lighthearted about it as well with some kind of tongue-in-cheek stuff.
What kind of, I like the light, I see the lightheartedness to it, and that's what I really respond to. What's the tongue in cheek? Like, I'm just curious because it's a very interesting and deep process and inspiration. So I just the audience, I'm sure, wants to know a little bit more how, the deepness to it in terms, if you want to share it.
Yeah, a lot of this series is kind of inspired by there's this English professor in California. Her name's Nicole Seymour. She wrote this book called Bad Environmentalism: Irony and Irreverence in the Ecological Age. And just that idea that you have sustainability communication that's a little bit ironic and irreverent, and doesn't just rely on like bombarding you with feeling overwhelmed with new facts and stuff, because we all feel that way already. And so the idea that you can think about sustainability with more of a sort of tongue-in-cheek aspect. So that comes through in the imagery, and some of the imagery on the billboards in climate casual and stuff. Yeah.
You need to put that name of that title of the book in the chat. So, because
Sure.
it's really a real concern with today's world. I feel strongly about creating garbage, and it's pertinent to the world.
I certainly
And
will.
what about
I'm
the
gonna wait.
paint?
My camera's a little.
Oh,
I'll type that in when I'm done, because I kind of can't type without.
yeah,
it.
no, you'll wait till after you're done talking. Tell us about the paint quality and the lightness to it, because there's a sense of play in the color.
Well, Sharon Butler was actually a really big inspiration as well, and I know she's shown at the painting center. So like her casualist paintings were really exciting when I kind of found out about those. So that's definitely impact that to sort of light, airy quality to paint, and having the sort of thinness and the casual quality of her application. But yeah, I don't know. You want to pair it with sort of a grounding in fire and the sort of the harsh qualities of climate change too. So I think that juxtaposition of kind of playful, almost cartoonish qualities and a more somber, because I think we all in some way or another have real lived experiences with natural disasters and stuff, of course. So trying to meet those both in order to have that tension.
Thank you. Really, really smart work in a playful way. And what fun fact do you want the audience to know about you?
When I was like 20, I slept outside of the National Gallery in London in the winter for a show, for queuing for a show that was sold out. So that was really fun. But
Well, you got to tell us the show.
It was it might be a different show these days for me, but back then it was a big Da Vinci show that was like sold out, and you got to see all his notebooks and stuff. And so I was really excited to go see those notebooks, but I had to sleep outside overnight. So in January.
Did you get in?
Yeah.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was certainly, yeah, it was definitely worth it. It was like number 3 in line or so.
I don't know if your older self would do the same.
No.
And how do you feel about seeing your work at the Painting Center?
It's very exciting. Like I mentioned, I've followed y'all's exhibits going back for quite a ways, and just seeing things like the same place that Sharon Butler showed some of the new casualist work that really influenced this. Even the title is kind of a nod a bit to that. So just to be in that same venue is fantastic. I just love the experimental qualities of the work, the shows that you guys put out. So it's really great.
Thank you. And Shazzi's been with us like over 20 years, and we are blessed to have her. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your work with us.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, Kellyanne is up next. Now, these are really fun, playful abstractions. So Kellyanne, do you want to talk about yourself? Give us a little insight.
Just unmute it. Yeah. Hello. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. Lived here most of my life. Right out of high school, went to Moore College of Art and Design. Got a BFA in painting. I think they made you pick a major back then. I think things are different now, but I maintain a studio in my home, and I am an RN, currently still working here in Philadelphia.
Wow, an RN. So at least the hours are flexible
Yes. Yes.
and you can paint. Yeah. You know, I've been following you for a while on Instagram, and it was really nice to see these in person. I was excited that you were picked because it's always nice to see the work in person. What's your
Absolutely.
inspiration for these?
There's some layers of inspiration. I would say more direct. Other artists, Philip Guston, Beatrice Milhouse, Cy Twombly, Jules de Valancourt. There's also the altarpieces made during the Renaissance that I've been looking at my whole life. We have a beautiful collection here in the Philadelphia Museum. They never disappoint. And on also the graphic design of Peter Max. So those are more direct influences. And underneath that, there's really just a never-ending current of wonder and maximalism, I would say, to convey just looking, seeing, absorbing everything, and creating color juxtapositions, compositions, just looking around and then making that happen on the surface.
They're interesting juxtapositions. They're interesting compositionally. They're interesting. The color is really what seduces me at first, honestly. And what's your process, the physical process like?
Well, I usually work on a lot of paintings at one time. And it's just a cycle of building up layers, adding elements, collage elements, gold leaf, silver leaf, then sanding it down, coming back to it. And then it's, you never know where it's going to end up. Sometimes it happens fast, sometimes it's years. But it's also a combination of deliberate frontal lobe type choices and then also subconscious impulses.
What do you mean by the frontal lobe for people who are not familiar with the term?
Oh, I'm just, deliberate choices where I make decisions about color and composition that, making it in real time. And other times there's a part of me that's just kind of going on a stream of consciousness type thing. And that's usually more interesting.
I see the dichotomy in the work, so it's fighting, not fighting in a bad way, but coming through in the actual body of the work. And what's a fun fact you want the audience to know about you?
I thought I would give one of my favorite quotes by Delacroix, that since I was in art school, I keep it in my studio. The first virtue of a painting is to be a feast for the eyes.
Yeah, your paintings are a feast for the eyes. They,
Thank
they come
you.
across it on Instagram and they,
So are yours.
oh, thank you. And how does it feel seeing your work at the painting center?
Well, I don't know if this is too gushy, but maybe dream come true.
Gush
might sum it
away.
up. Yeah, I've been going there for years. It's honestly, it's an honor, and yes, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I'm glad we can make that happen for you. Really, I am.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, thank you, Shazzi and Lucy, and
So
yeah.
this was all Shazzi and Lucy. Go for we, we kind of let Shazzi do what she wants a lot of the time because she's been there longer than any of us. Okay, thank you. And now we're going to move on to Pamela Marks. These are quite well done in person. They're crisp, they're clean, they're colorful. I think what I loved about this show was all the color and the different ways that it was put together. Pamela, do you want to share about yourself, please?
Sure. Sure. I'm originally, I can't see myself, so I guess I'm there.
You're there.
Okay. I'm originally from the Midwest, where I completed a BFA, then moved out west to Tucson, where I finished an MFA out there. But now I maintain a studio in Connecticut, and I've been here for quite a few years. I've taught art at Connecticut College in the art department there for 32 years. And it was a really great privilege. And there's something about the energy of working with students in the arts that energy overflows into your studio as well. And I really think teaching is a privilege. And it's just been a great thing for me to do, to complement my studio practice and to support my studio practice. And I was lucky enough to be able to teach to my strengths. So that led me to really pursue a lot of color study. All my research was in that and painting and about the drawing process. And I could invent my own courses. And the teaching also gave me time to travel and see great art and support my studio research. From like being a visiting scholar at the American Academy in Rome or doing the Golden Residency, those kinds of things. So I think that's a big part of what's helped my studio practice, was that interaction with teaching.
I wish we had more teachers like you. That is absolutely utterly beautiful. I'm a former teacher and I'm going to start again. And it is a privilege to teach. And it's so beautiful to hear you say that. So thank you for your service and dedicating yourself to young minds and being willing to learn from them as well. Let's talk about your inspiration for making these because they're multi-layered. So I'm kind of curious what you're thinking about.
Well, there's a real commitment to abstract image building in my work that takes form in general, like through drawing and painting and printmaking, and investigating color and form is really kind of core to my artistic practice. I'm inspired by the teachings of Joseph Albers, his notion that color is experiential and color relationships are in constant flux, influences my work and also the way I see. So I consider myself an abstract artist, although in the past few years, I've been combining painting with photographic imagery, as in these like 4 works at the Painting Center right now. And in recent work, I'm using color as an intervention. I think of color as being slippery. It morphs, it vibrates, it dissolves, it creates after image. It's always in flux. And I'm using color in this series in particular as a metaphor for kind of the instability of the world around us. And I guess that leads into the process. These 4 paintings, in a sense of in the painting center are from a series of 60 plus paintings, and they're all on book pages. So you see photographic images underneath the painting. I've left some of those pages exposed. And the books were a series of books done in like 1975 called Living Earth. And the text and all the photos in the books talk about the interconnectedness of all living things and the precarious balance between the Earth's environmental systems and how we as humans intervene in those systems. And it was 40-year-old textbooks, and it was frightening what they were saying 40 years ago. And I was just shocked that things have only gotten worse. And I just felt like I wanted to create painted responses to that text. And there's like 4 volumes in this book, these books called The Living Earth, and it's been keeping me busy and allowing me to experiment with color in a lot of different ways. So the paintings are composed in relationship to the content of what is said in the text, the design of the page, that whatever the typesetters were doing with the columns, and the faded color reproductions, and then through color interactions and decorative painting techniques, I try to create this tension between organic gesture and also this kind of imposed geometry. So that's kind of the process.
Fascinating process. And I actually remember that book. I actually used that book in high school. Now I'm dating myself. And what's a fun fact that you want the audience to know about you?
I probably they already figured it out, and I'm just a color nerd. I will be a lifelong student of color study, I think, because it's just so fascinating and brings me such a joy. It's never ending what you
That's
can do.
beautiful, beautiful. You can see the color, and it's very diverse and interactive and vibrates and does everything that you want it to do. So thank you. And how did you feel about seeing these? Did I ask? I don't think I asked that at the
Well,
painting show.
I've seen them in the videos. I plan to be there tomorrow at the closing because I couldn't make it to the opening, which I feel terribly guilty about. And I didn't want to miss meeting all the artists. So I'm hoping some of them are there tomorrow. And I guess I just feel really happy and just so, fortunate to be included with this group of artists. And this is the second show that I've been curated into at the Painting Center. And each time I'm just so impressed by the professionalism of everyone that's working there and putting their energy into these exhibitions. And a big thank you. And then especially to the curators, Lucy and Shazzi, who I have not yet met. It's just through email. So I look forward to meeting people tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. And someone will be there, and it'll be an experience, and you'll meet everyone that's there. Let's go to Jen. Jen makes these abstractions with, you want to tell us about yourself first, Jen? Jen? Jen, are you here, unmuted?
Okay,
Shazam?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Thank you so much. This work is a bit older, but I am very proud and attached to it. These 4 pieces are from a series of 12 in it's called the Flood series. I did these when I was in grad school, and I had an extraordinary professor and advisor for printmaking. And it was a wonderful program. I could do whatever I wanted. So I did all kinds of printmaking. I did alternative photography. I did a lot of cyanotype, but this particular series is still very dear to me because most of my work is based on the ocean and water and bodies of water. And these are actually hand painted, and some of them are also collaged, and they're photo silk screens. And when I made these, as I said, I was in the grad program. I was learning so much because as an undergrad at Mass College of Art, I majored in hot glass, and then 1 year, courtesy of OSHA, in cold glass. But I still am very taken and, influenced by the colors of the glass and the reflections, and, just it's an amazing material when it's molten and when it's, annealed. But these pieces, I love doing them because I got to explore lots of processes. The photo silk screen, doing the halftone with Photoshop, making my own negatives, and then, the screen printing and the hand painting. And then, as I said, some of them have collage also. So I'm very proud to have them at the Painting Center. And the one piece, Rupture, the piece Rupture in the lower left, that was selected for a show by Paul Ha, who's the director of the MIT List Art Center. And I was very happy. That was a national prize show at the Cambridge Art. My studio is in Somerville, which is next to Cambridge. And but these have been, they're very dear to me. I'm really proud to have them in this exhibition. And I have one of them has sold from the series, and but these, I think that Shazzi and Lucy actually chose the best pieces. They also chose the one that was sold, but so that's that. Yeah.
Congratulations on the
Thank you.
sale. Can you
Thank
tell us a little bit about yourself? It's wonderful to hear about your process. Let's hear a
Okay.
little bit.
Yeah.
yourself.
I pretty much grew up in various parts of Massachusetts, but I also lived near Cleveland and Chicago for a while with my family. I'm not great at the off the cuff. I have some notes. As I mentioned, my studio is in Somerville, right near Cambridge, and I live a little north of there. I lived in varied places of rural, suburban, and urban areas, and I feel that it really influenced my development, and it afforded me broad experiences and exposure to diverse communities and environments and landscapes. I think I was influenced by creative members of my family and my extended family, and I think I was fortunate that my parents never discouraged me, in pursuing art, although it came to me at a slightly older age. One of the things that I never realized how it would affect me, but when I was in junior high, in one of many schools I attended, my father decided I had to learn how to make something with my hands. He bought me an old sewing machine and he enrolled me in sewing classes. And I made all of my clothes until, and that was in junior high. I made all my clothes until I could get a part-time job as soon as possible so I could buy regular clothes. But I think it's very ironic that that was probably the beginning of how I started to be a creative maker, even though I really didn't like, the kind of boring sewing projects that I had to do. And from, I actually started what I feel was real artwork when I graduated high school. I graduated near Chicago. I moved back to Massachusetts, lived with some hippie friends, and started making very large batik paintings of batik, and also doing weavings with various ropes.
Yes, Jen, thank you. It's definitely, I can definitely see the sewing aspect in your work, and we're so thankful to have you. But in
Thank
the
you.
interest of time, we just have to move on to the next person.
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
No
to.
problem, no problem.
I see Lindsay. I believe Lindsay is
Oh,
up
wait,
next.
you're not asking me any other questions?
Do you have something else that you'd like to respond to briefly? quickly?
Well, is there, well, I wrote answers to all the questions. Is there one that in particular that you would like to ask, like you asked the other
A fun
artists?
a fun fact.
A fun fact, okay.
You covered the painting center, how you were pleased to being there. So
Oh,
the
yeah,
only
yeah,
thing we didn't
yes, and
cover
I,
was
and
the
I
fun
have
fact.
visited the painting center for years, and I'm very, very happy and proud to be in this show. A fun fact, well, okay, I have spent a huge amount of time in New York City. My mother and her family were from New York City. My parents met there, and I've been going to New York City since I was a child. And when I was working in Boston, I had a very kind of torturous commute on the Southeast Expressway 5 days a week. And in order to get up and face the traffic and do the drive, I would tape every night, I would tape the David Letterman show. And then when I got up in the morning, I would watch it, and it would give me the stamina to face the traffic. So one day I was at work and someone said, "Oh, you got a call from the David Letterman show." And I said, "No, yeah, that's funny. It's Monday. It's a joke." They said, "No, it's real." So I called back, and they said I had won 2 tickets to the live show at the Sullivan Theater because of my answer. The contest was to tell Letterman why you should be able to go on his show. And I told him that. I said, in order to get into traffic every weekday, I have to watch your show so I can have the strength. And it was great. It was really fun. The show was fun. The pre-craziness was fun. And I greatly appreciate being in the show and meeting you. And I'm coming to New York tomorrow to come to the closing, excuse me. And I really look forward to meeting artists and Shazzi and as many as you as possible. And it's not a fun fact, but poor Shazzi, the post office lost my work for a week when it came to you. So she and I were on the phone constantly trying to find the work, and it finally got delivered during your reception. And I'm glad it's there. Thank you.
I remember that.
Crazy.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was a good fun fact.
Thank you.
Shazzy, you want to move on to, yes, Lindsay. Now, I had to meet Lindsay at the opening because these are really beautifully done. I mean, like spot on with skill, and the radiant colors really vibrate. You're not seeing it on the screen, how powerful they are. Lindsay, you want to tell us about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and to chat with all of you. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a painter. Also, I'm a research administrator during the day. I'm an avid hiker, and I love living in the cold northern landscapes. I've been on a couple expeditions to remote places like Svalbard and Greenland. And my paintings live at the intersection of art, philosophy, and science in the tradition of minimalism and contemplative practice. So I really love to bridge different modalities of knowing. So my work evokes multi-sensory experiences, heightened in solitude and reminiscent of remote northern wilderness. And, although they're not generally representing specific places or experiences per se, my paintings reference sky and weather, and I find my inspiration at the edges of day and this, quiet liminal space I find full of possibility.
Wow. I never knew anyone who actually liked living in the cold. So that's kind of refreshing.
I do, and one of my expedition mates is actually on this call too. Hi, Bonnie. But yeah, I love the northern climate, and like the sky and during winter is one of my biggest inspirations because of it just seems like the sun is at kind of a different angle, and you get all sorts of different like color refractions in the sky.
I can see that in your work. I too look at the sky for inspiration, but not a cold one usually. What's your inspiration besides the outdoors? Any other artistic inspirations?
Yeah, definitely. So I use gradients as a symbol of infinity and interconnection. And I just am constantly learning about the sky and weather and atmosphere. And I love that each moment looks different. You know, you can look at the sky at one moment and look away and look back, and, you know, the clouds are different or the colors are slightly different. So I love that mutability of it. And I'm inspired by the Buddhist metaphors of like the mind is like a blue sky with thoughts or emotions passing like clouds. And I'm learning to meditate. I haven't mastered it yet, of course, but that is constantly top of mind as well. And I just love the idea that the molecules in the air are really connecting us to everyone across the planet now on this planet, but then also through all of time. You know, we're breathing the same air that has been here since the creation of the planet, and I find that very actually grounding and inspiring.
It's so interesting because the title of the show is The Sense of Surface. And it's amazing to see how many of you are so involved with with climates and earth and love. It's really quite refreshing to see that the works are so deep and meaningful, and everyone has a different take, but in reality, you're all united. It's really powerful. And
I was thinking, sorry, go ahead.
how do you make these? What's your
the
process?
And yeah, it involves layering of thin layers of acrylic paint. I use brushes with a lot of medium, and I water down the paint so it makes very thin layers over time. And it takes a lot of physical effort. So I work a piece generally from, you know, a couple months to maybe a couple years for the larger pieces. But I'm also interested in illuminating the like atmospheric implications of climate change, like you were talking about. You know, a lot of people on this call, like Rini and Jason, Pamela, talk about climate and thinking about a sense of surface, not only in the way that we're using surfaces on our actual artworks, but like thinking about the surface of the planet and how that connects to the pieces that we're creating. I actually have collaborated with some atmospheric chemists and use radar remote sensing data and gather measurements with my own equipment to kind of help encapsulate these shifting moments of daylight, but also relay stories of deeper atmospheric significance. And so I incorporate data into some of the works, observations, and my own emotional nuance to really relay my own reverence for the sky and land through blurring of factual info.
You definitely show the reverence to the sky and the passing. It's really beautiful.
Like
and what's a fun fact about you?
Fun fact is I love to go rock hunting. I love agate hunting. I'm kind of a nerd about rocks, but yeah.
That's funny. And how does it feel? Have you seen your work at the Painting Center? Were you Yes, I met you at the opening.
Yes. Yeah, I loved meeting you and so many of the other artists that are on this call at the opening. And yeah, it's just really been a blast meeting so many people and seeing my work there. And it's the first time that I've had work in New York, so that's just really been a treat. So thank you to Shazzi and Lucy and you, Lisa, as well.
Well, we are thankful to have you, and they were a treat to see. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, this is Margaret, and you want to give us a little bio about yourself, Margaret? I cannot pronounce your last name. Can you just say it for us so we can have an idea of what it's supposed to sound like?
Sirantinakis.
Just say it one more time, please.
Sirantinakis. The T is silent.
Thank you.
If you don't think of the T, Sirantinakis. So.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you want to tell us about you?
I get that long name because I was born on the island of Crete in Greece. But I came when I was a baby here to the United States, and grew up in Astoria, Queens, and now I live in Stamford, Connecticut. I received my BFA from Parsons School of Design, and I've had last year was my 4th solo show at the Prince Street Gallery, which is around the corner from the painting center. And yeah, and I've been in a lot of group shows, and yeah, so
And what's your inspiration for making these? The landscape I definitely see, but what's powerful to you in the landscape?
well, the color, I mean, color is very important to me, and color relationships, and nature inspires me. Plants, like plants, the forms of plants, the flowers, the light, the time of day. Oil paints, I love the, you know, the texture, the feel, the viscosity. I like working with the brush mark. And the layers, like I want the layer that's underneath to interact with the layer on top. You know, other painters' work inspires me, especially Matisse, Bonnard. I've also looked at Joan Mitchell a lot. And then my travels, I've gone back to Crete many times. I visit. So yeah.
Margaret, we just had a question. Do you want to show us what you look like, or is your camera and sound?
Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I'm
Thank
sorry.
you.
I didn't know.
We want to see your face. I wasn't sure if you were having a technical issue or not. I can definitely see the Bernard influence. It's clear, and the impressionist as well, definitely, with the sense of light. I too went to Parsons. This is the third Parsons graduate here. And what's your process with the oil paint? Because it looks thin layers.
Yeah, it's thin, but some parts a little thicker. But yeah, it's not that thick. It's a you know, I mean, I start with the color, with the image. Well, it's fluid, so I will have maybe an image in mind, but it could change. You know, it evolves. And I keep it light. I want. I guess because I want the color, as I say, to interact with the other color. And and I also, before I start, I have references. I'll have, like, I do watercolors, plein air watercolors. So I'll have that around me, a photograph, a drawing, you know, so I have those references. But then when I start painting and I get into it, it's like the painting tells me what to do next, in a way, you know, it's like, so.
Yeah, paintings do talk. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to work with complementary colors, warm and cool. Yeah, so.
And what do you want what's a fun fact you want the audience to know about you?
Well, I do want to say maybe about the painting,
Okay.
For Georgia, actually, the title, when I finished it, it was during the winter, and then the elections, the important Senate election in Georgia happened, and so that's where the title came from, for Georgia. And also the purple became like a symbol of Georgia turning into a purple state. So it's interesting.
That's actually quite interesting. So many political minds here, but through beauty, you're still, you know, you're thinking politically, but you're translating it to beauty.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I know, I also, in terms of the painting center, I've been following the painting center also before they were at this site. And so it's great to be included in this show. And also, I love the fact, the importance of painting, that the painting center also has, you know, championed over the years. So
thank you. We are very proud of all the work we've been done, and I've been following it since Green Street too. I guess we must be in that age category.
Right,
Tell us something fun.
Well, I didn't know it was supposed to be fun, but
Well, silly, anything you want, a quote, just something that we don't know about you.
well, this is like back, this is a way back, but when I got into the High School of Art and Design, and which was a lot farther, you know, far away from where I was, and I convinced my parents to go, and I took a bus and 2 trains to get there, and, you know, I had painting classes, and, you know, I'm still painting. So.
Yeah,
It's in New York City, in high school art design in Manhattan.
I know, I student taught there. It's a special place.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, and good luck on your First Street Gallery, Prince Street,
Yes,
Prince Street Gallery.
and I'll be there tomorrow too, so I look forward to meeting the other
Oh, it's
artists.
gonna be a party tomorrow. Glad to hear it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ooh, is that, ooh, can you say your
It's
name for me,
Ute.
please?
It's Ute Bertog. So yeah, the first name I know it's short and snappy, but it's difficult to pronounce. So it's Ute. Yeah, it's a you know, I'm from Germany, so that's a very old and German name. So I've been here in the US for the last 25 years. First came to Cleveland, Ohio for 3 years, and then moved out west, being the second person from the Twin Cities here in this group. I'm just like across the river from St. Paul, where I currently live and work as well. But I have lived in Minneapolis for many years too. So and I went to art school here in Minneapolis, to the Minneapolis College of Art and Design. Since then been working in my studio and being active in the arts community here. In regards to my inspiration never works like one-on-one for me. It's more of an indirect, more of a detour kind of inspiration. I'm very inspired by color, as you can see in my paintings, and setting up color relationships during my mostly prolonged process of painting. Since I do like to work with the unknowing or not knowing where I'm heading, I do like to start out at least with a security blanket of language. So I have this long running list of potential titles. And I go through it and just like pick whatever speaks to me and at that moment. And they're usually not very, I mean, in this regard, they make sense, but they don't always have to make sense. It's just like I like their poetic notion. And then I just like start doing this very intuitive process of working and setting up color relationships, and try to establish some kind of not to establish, but find an inner argument or logic, or I like to think of it as a syntax within the rectangle of the painting. I stop whenever, you know, things are coming together, but just like in a very tenuous matter. So they might just like the next day, they might just evolve into something else. So they're basically just like an animation, but stopped in them somewhere in the process.
They're very exciting, and those paintings are really hard to make because I have tried to make paintings and I can't, and I admire them. And I'm sure you've heard the Amy Silman reference before.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like I don't. Probably the source is different, since I try to avoid any kind of representational imagery. As soon as I see something like that, I try to get rid of it. So I don't abstract from something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they do represent like attitudes and more abstract subject matter probably. And what I really do like is that very tenuous relationship with language, so that when you have nothing to hold on to, just like the abstractness of a piece, and how to cushion it into language, and how to build that framework with language. Because we're all very, very, very verbal people, right? I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
social need. And
Definitely.
again, it's like I like to establish that relationship, just as with the color as well.
Yeah, you can clearly see that, especially in open ground. It has a different flavor, like Marco Parsini. I don't know if you're familiar with his work.
No,
I will send you. I think it's there.
Okay,
Yes, they
good.
deal with representation. You're dealing with the abstraction side of it and the line and the color and there's something about German painters. They see the world differently in a way that's just magical, honestly.
Thank you, thank you.
And
what would be
I'm sorry?
the next question? Sorry, the next question is about process and a fun fact.
Yes.
I don't know about, I don't know if it's that funny, but what many people, especially outside of the Twin Cities, don't know is I do pottery as well. So I've started going to a local clay center and have been more and more finding the convergence with my other practice, and that's been really fun. And also it's just like seeing ceramics out in the world, and I feel so grateful to be here in Minnesota, which has such a strong ceramic community. It's just like it feeds another need in me. It's where the abstract painting are so flat in a way, and despite them being an object, but the pottery is just like very tactile, and I just love that.
Your paintings are tactile. Clearly, I could see the connection.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like there's also convergence between the clay and the oil paint, because both of them you can manipulate for a long time.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. And how do you feel about have you seen them at the painting center or?
No, unfortunately not. And I feel very sorry about not being able to come out for neither the opening nor the closing. I feel so honored to, first of all, have my work be picked for the show, and be amongst so many great painters. It's wonderful. So feel so honored and blessed. So thank you for having me at the work.
Thank you. We were honored to have you as well. Shazzi, you want to add something to the discussion? Shazzi?
Tell me.
Tell me.
Oh, hold on. Okay, is that better?
Yes, it is.
Hold on a second. Is that better?
Yes?
Okay, what was your question?
You said you wanted to say something.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to quickly say, I missed that whole section with Uta because Sally Morgan was here from Morgan Lehman. So I was chatting her up a bit. Sorry, I was doing a little bit of gallery business on the side, but I just wanted to say hi to her, which is good that we're getting great feedback for the show. So it just makes me really happy. She said it was really beautiful, and I think that's it's really about all the work that was included. So thank you guys again for participating in it.
Okay, thank you. And we're gonna move on
Okay, hold on a sec.
to Reba. Reba, you want to tell us about yourself a little?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. I'm from New Jersey and I live in Brooklyn, where I have a studio, and I studied in the city, so I've been in New York for about 12 years now. Yeah, and I've painted all my life, so it's nice to hear from other painters. I feel like we all have that in common.
And do you want to tell us what your inspiration behind these works are?
Sure. The two on the left are inspired from moments in my life, and the one on the right is from a film still, actually. So the process for the three were a little bit different. The ones on the left are people I know and care about. So I put a lot more, I guess I was more meticulous with getting their likeness and looser with painting the actress on the right. But they all sort of ended up with the same amount of likeness in the end, I think, just the process was different for me.
It's funny because the Rita that I went to that green one, the way her sari, is that a sari? The way it was,
Yes, it is.
the way it was painted, the way her position is, it's really a different take on figurism, on figures. I really responded to that one especially.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
So
I got to loosen up for that one. So it was painted almost entirely in one sitting, so much looser.
Wow. That's interesting. And what inspired you to do the film still versus the people you know? What was
They're all moments that are important to me. That moment in the film is important to me. And it's one that I watch over and over. It's from the Darjeeling Limited. And I paint film stills from time to time, especially as an exercise to loosen up. I think when I'm trying to paint from life, I get a little caught up in the details.
yeah.
Yeah, but the painting from life, like those moments are also pretty potent. I don't know if that translates, but they're ones I hold on to and hold dear. So I like to remember them in a painting.
They have a different feel. They have I'm really responding to the geometry in the other ones, the way way they're compositionally set up, but that's just my personal vision.
Yeah, that's almost like the abstraction of a lot of the works. So
yeah. So what's your process with the paint actually? I know one was in one sitting. What about the others?
the others took me kind of a long time, but I always start with like an undercolor. In the Rita painting, it was a neon orange. So if you look at it in person, a little bit of the orange comes through. I think the one on the left was with a green, and the middle one was more of a classic yellow ochre burnt umber underpainting.
So the traditional figuration school with underpainting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it starts, and then I build on top of it. But I do like working with neons underneath, so
You
gets a
should meet
little.
Kathleen. She loves them. She works with
Oh,
me.
cool.
You should look her up. And what do you want the audience to know about you?
I love people, paint, and
Books? No.
no, yeah, and I guess I care about memorializing things. I have a big series of people's injuries actually that I've been working on for about 7 years, I want to say. So and that memorializes moments in people's lives where they were strong or survived, or things that might have like a lasting change on them. So
Yeah, I'd love to see those sometimes. That sounds really fascinating.
Mhm.
And you were in New Jersey, so I'm sure were you the one stuck on the train? No.
Oh no, I live in Brooklyn now, so
Oh, okay. So tell us,
from New
how was
Jersey.
it seeing your work at the painting center?
Oh, it was amazing. It was really lovely to meet everyone who was there. A lot of the artists were there. And it's awesome to talk to people who love paint. So
It is pretty awesome, isn't it?
yeah, and I love seeing people see my work maybe that's a little narcissistic, but
No, that's what a show is about.
Yeah.
How were the reactions? How did you feel having people see your work?
I saw this group of young South Asian women responding to the sorry that I thought was really sweet. They were pretty excited. So that might have been my favorite part. They're
That's
like,
a
"Look, it's a
beautiful
sorry."
moment.
So yeah, thought that was fun. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we saved the best for last. I'm not really. Let's see who's up next. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Oh, I thought we had 11.
Unless
Oh,
there's questions. Mhm.
okay, so it was 10. I want to thank you all for participating. We did pretty good on time, and if there's any questions, if you want to put them in the chat, you know, you're welcome to, and then, you know, anybody have anything else they want to add to it? This was
Thank
a-
you. Thank you very much.
So
Thank you.
it was great to see everyone. Oh. Okay, we're getting about the books, so that's good. Thank you all so much for participating, and we look forward to seeing you at the closing. And thank you for putting it, and really, thank you for following the script. I really appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.